when drones fell on Polish territory on the very same day. As soon as the Poles started raising the alarm, our defense ministry proposed to hold a meeting and, as is proper for professionals, without any hysteria, sort out this situation. TP look at the debris to discuss what these drones are, what is their range. The drones that were allegedly discovered on Polish territory, if they are the ones we think about, then their flight range is less than the distance from the Russian Federation's border to that of Poland. Once again, when they avoid an honest conversation, blaming you for everything, and to the proposal, let's sit down and figure it out, they say, no, we don't want to figure out anything. You know everything yourselves. It's good that you started with this question. Last year, in this very hall, at this very table, I told you how we tried to get to the truth regarding the provocation that was arranged in April 2022 in Bucha, after the Russian troops left Kiev's suburbs, including the suburb named Bucha. We quitted because the Western countries were calling for it to create an atmosphere of trust for the planned signing of a peace agreement on settlement, which Boris Johnson later disrupted. So, when our troops had already left Bucha, 2 days later, by a coincidental lucky chance, the BBC reporters demonstrated the world bodies lying neatly along the main Bucha street. Last year, when there was a similar deadlock, just like today, I appealed to your journalistic zeal. Weren't you interested to discover who those people were, whose bodies were shown? What were their names? Who were they? As far as I understand, none of you conducted a journalistic investigation afterwards. Although regarding much less prominent incidents, such investigations happen frequently. So, returning to the first question, we have nothing to hide. We never attack civilian objects. Incidents happen, but we never conduct targeted fire on them. We never direct our drones or missiles at European states, EU and NATO countries. I reiterate, if the Poles really wanted to figure this out, we would have immediately proposed a meeting. But no one ever wants to discuss the facts. Reinstating sanctions was embedded in the Security Council resolution that approved the Iranian nuclear deal in 2015 following direct talks between the Iranian Foreign Minister and the U.S. Secretary of State, John Kerry at the time. The so-called snapback mechanism is not typical for any other sanctions regime. It allowed any country to put to a vote a resolution to continue the sanctions-lifting regime. And a veto-wielding country could even alone block such a resolution, meaning that there would be no extension of the lifting of sanctions. I have two ideas here. First, it is not very accurately formulated. Formulated with the sole purpose of constantly holding Iranian colleagues by the throat and not allowing them to make a single step to the left or right. The second idea, Iran agreed to this exotic mechanism only because it was sure it would never violate this deal, so the mechanism could be a backup option. But Iran did not and does not intend to violate it to this day. So, they agreed to it lightheartedly. There was a chance to agree on extending the Iranian nuclear deal in full for some period. We wanted for 3 months, without adding anything, without crossing anything out in every aspect of it, so that it would continue to act simultaneously, as we hoped, with holding talks. Since the West disrupted it and blackmailed the majority of the Security Council members to also support its destructive stance, I don't know how the Islamic Republic of Iran will react. It is absolute non-negotiability on all fronts. Not giving 2 or 3 months for Iran, via discussions, to achieve satisfying conditions for further work with the IEA and the United States. Iran was ready and is still ready for dialogue, even if not direct, but mediated. Iran regularly communicated with the EU3, France, Germany, the UK. But the outcome of this communication confirms only one thing. From the very beginning, the EU3 needed to find some excuse to reinstate the sanctions regime. Therefore, all good faith proposals of our Iranian colleagues for compromises, all of them were rejected. And when there was some hope for agreement, immediately the next morning, new demands appeared. These are deliberate actions aimed at moving to another stage economically, financially, etc., strangling the Islamic Republic of Iran.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.